everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm Tammy Manzo with North Node Venus Astrology. Got my fellow Gemini here, Michael Peterson from Terra Taraz. Hi, Michael. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good, good. So today I want to talk about how astrology is in our everyday lives all the time. How things are just everywhere around us, and if you just open your mind, you'll find these things, and it's very cool. So I've got my Scarlett O'Hara shirt on today. It says, "Great balls of fire, don't call me sugar, and quit bothering me." One of her favorite lines from the movie, right? So I just saw Gone with the Wind on the big screen about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Did you catch it? Was it coming around to your place?
I saw something in the news to where they were going to be bringing it back out, but I don't know. I haven't paid attention to the local theater to see if it came around or not.
Yeah, yeah. It went to a couple of Regal cinemas, and I jumped right on it right away. I thought, wow, the chance to see it on the big screen is going to be totally different than how it looks on the little screen.
Oh,
I've seen it
yeah.
many times, and you've seen it a lot of times, right?
Yep. It was my grandmother's favorite movie, and that in the book itself. So it's just
Yeah,
one of those things you grow up with.
yeah, really cool. Yeah, I've read it a couple times when I was younger. I'd read it every couple of years, and I would get more things out of it every time that I read it. As you grow up and expand your horizons, you see more stuff in her world.
Hmm.
So, what I wanted to talk about today is how these characters that we know and love, when you start looking at astrology, like I'm always looking at it, I'm always thinking like, wow, what sign are they? How are they acting? How are they, like I start to categorize them already, like, wow, okay. And in my mind, Scarlett O'Hara is a Scorpio. So I'm going to call her Scarlett Scarlett O Scorpio. Say that fast if you've got a glass of wine, or try that again. So the reason why I think of her as a Scorpio, and this is going to be a really nice talk about all the great qualities of Scorpio, right? So, and Scarlet, in my mind, just brings all those things out to the forefront. When we talk about astrology, sometimes Scorpio gets the biggest rap, like, oh no, don't cross them. They'll, it'll take them 100 years, but they'll get back at you. You
Mm.
know, they never forget anything. They never forgive anybody. This is the things that you see out on websites. These are the things that you hear in books. Wow, don't mess with the Scorpio. They're very, very deep. They're very intense. They're not to be toyed with. They're very, deep, deep energy. Don't mess with them. Don't make them an enemy. So I want to talk about all the good things about Scorpios and how Scarlett O'Hara kind of brings them out. And from the book and the movie, she just regenerates herself over and over again. She starts out at the beginning and she's just a 17-year-old, country belle, playing with the boys. And that's
Hmm.
kind of a Scorpio thing to do too. You could be a flirt. You're very attractive to other people, right? There's this sexual chemistry that Scorpio energy seems to have with people, and that's okay. So she's got that going on. Then, of course, the war comes through. She has to rebuild herself into something else. She goes back to the plantation, actually does something she's never done before, manual labor. She's out in the field, picking cotton. She kills a man with a gun.
Hmm.
The intruder that came into the house, she shoots him. Something that she's never done before. She's got to take on the burden of that whole entire plantation when she was just raised to be very decorative, ornamental. So then she goes through and she ends up, marrying for kind of convenience. She doesn't really love the men that she's with. And Michael, have you read the book as well, or you just saw the movie?
I've read bits and parts of the book. I haven't ever taken the time to read the entire thing, but the
Yeah,
movie, absolutely.
it's like 1,000 pages long or something like that.
Hmm.
But the movie is a very condensed version. In the book, she marries 3 times, um, and she has children with each of the men. In the movie, we only see the one daughter there. But that's kind of like a Scorpio thing to do too. When you want something very badly, Scorpio energy will commit all the way down to the ground. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Even marrying somebody that you don't love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's a Scorpio thing to do. Um, and not in a bad way, but when you commit, they commit all the way down, you know. And if that includes, hmm, I don't know how to say it without sounding bad, but they will commit down to the ground, and sometimes Scorpio gets a bad rap for maybe being too sexual or having, bringing sex into everything, or there's like sexual undertones, but that is like their level of commitment. When you commit through the body, that is the total commitment there. So
Do they ever get to a point from the Scorpio side that they would commit so much that they might do things that they know they shouldn't do, but do it because of the commitment to the person they're with?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that, everybody's on a journey. I see that as a strength. If you've got that willpower,
Mm-hmm.
to commit, maybe something will shift. If you marry somebody, maybe you don't love them at first, but okay, you're willing to do everything to make it work. Maybe you will come to love them, you know, at the end. Her relationship with Rhett was kind of like a love hate, as well, where she didn't kind of know what was going on, but she thought, well, I just better marry him so he'll stop bothering me, right? He finally just married.
That's one thing that I noticed in the movie. And is this also true with Scorpios in general? Now, she's very committed to Rhett, even though she doesn't really want to be at some points in time, but she's also not in control, which
Yeah.
very much irritated her because Rhett in the movie or in the book said, "No, I'm the man of the house. This is how it's going to be."
Right.
Are Scorpios
Mhm.
that way in general?
Well, Scorpio is usually the control person.
Okay.
So that's very interesting that she's learning about control, because
Mm-hmm.
the only person you can really control in the end is yourself, you
Right.
know. And she learned that at the end when he walked away. It's like, okay, what are you going to do now? Oh, I don't really care. Do whatever you want, right? Now you're in control of yourself. Yeah. But you can see the themes. Scorpio people are so committed and they could love those people so much. She just loved Ashley, right? Down to the bottom of her feet. And when she knew she couldn't have him, right, there was that gut wrenching, that envy, jealousy, very jealous of Melanie,
Mm-hmm.
and their relationship. So she marries, Melanie's brother, the first one that she doesn't really love, doesn't even really know, but there he is, right? So she had to take all that energy and emotion and put it somewhere. And there it is. And in the back of her mind, did she know that was going to hurt all them around? Sure, you know. But that's the Scorpio sting too. They put a stinger there sometimes. So, and that is true. You should not mess around with someone who has strong Scorpio energy. But we all have Scorpio somewhere in our charts. We all do. And we don't have to be a Scorpio sun. We could have Scorpio moon, Scorpio ascendant, Scorpio planets. So we all have this level where we can commit ourselves to something that deep.
Mm-hmm.
For some of us, it might be in our relationships, and it might be in our jobs, and it might be in our finances, and it might be in our health. You know, we all have that regenerative ability where we could come back at setback after setback and recreate ourselves into something over and over again. We all have that somewhere in our chart.
That's interesting because you mentioned that, and you talk about most people, I think, would automatically think relationship, but you mention relationship, career, finances, health.
Yeah.
I would imagine it would even go to hobby. If somebody has a very strong
Yes.
passion in a hobby,
Creativity. Yep.
that
There's a house for that. Yep. Too.
that
Right.
their astrological portion of the Scorpio controlling just one aspect of their life, not the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing. If they're not a Scorpio like me, for being a Gemini,
Mm-hmm.
it would be interesting for me to get a chart done to sit down and say Scorpio is controlling this aspect of your life. That's why you're so hyper focused on it.
Right, right. And how can you better use these regenerative qualities that are there that you just tapped into? Because the Scorpio, he is known as as the scorpion. That's what you'll see in all the books, in the websites, you'll see the scorpion. But the evolved Scorpio is the phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
where he just burns up whatever doesn't work, you know what I mean, and just burns down the ashes and recreates, rebirths himself. So that's really the true, essence of Scorpio. And you see, as Scarlett grows older, she starts from that 17-year-old who just wants to punish and hurt everybody. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have her way. She grows into this huge, loving person at the end, where she actually does love Melanie. She realizes she loves her, and after, like a sister, she takes care of these people around her. She has really grown and blossomed. She's given up so much of her, the way she was raised. She had to give up illusions. The world didn't exist anymore that she was born into. Had to leave all that stuff behind. And really, how many times do we do that in our lifetime? We grow from a child into adult, and we have to, let a lot of things go, and recreate ourselves over and over again. So,
Changing careers, changing something to where it's a
right.
major
Sometimes
faction of life.
yeah, the job leaves you, right? Okay, the company doesn't exist anymore. What happened? What do you do then? Yeah, you're really thrown into the fire. You have to raise yourself out of the ashes,
Right.
right? So another one who's really good at that is Madonna. I think of Madonna when I think of the regenerating and recreating yourself into something. And I know she's got a Leo sun. I haven't looked at her chart very recently at all, but somewhere I bet we'd find some interesting Scorpio in there.
Now this is more of, I don't want to say a joke because it's not funny, but you mentioned Madonna, and people would recognize her as being changing, evolving
Mhm.
over a period of time because she definitely is not what she started out as.
Right.
But then if you were to slide over and take a look at somebody like Cher,
Oh,
Cher is, she has rejuvenated herself time and time again, but yet she
mhm.
looks exactly the same.
Yes. Right.
If you go back and look at Moonstruck versus today, you're going to see the same
Right.
female.
Right.
That's ironic.
Right. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So the really cool thing about the Gone with the Wind movie, I don't know, you might have heard this, and maybe some of the listeners have heard, but like every actress in the world at that time wanted to play Scarlett. And they
Yes.
had a huge search, and that was part publicity too. Publicity. Oh, come on and try out, and like everybody wanted to be Scarlett O'Hara. Do you know that actress who eventually ended up playing Vivian Lee? She's actually a Scorpio in real life.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is. And she was virtually an unknown, if I'm not mistaken, at the time.
Right, right. She wasn't even from America. She was just happened to be here visiting somebody, and she ended up on the set, and they were burning the sets and doing some background stuff, and there she was, and they said, "Holy smoke!" So this is kind of like that law of attraction, right? Like attracts like. So that
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio. Scarlett must have really been a Scorpio. Her birthday was never listed in that book, and let me tell you, I read it looking for it. Any kind of illusion. Is it her birthday? They don't mention anything in there. But you know, for Vivian Lee to have that same Scorpio energy, you know, like attracts like. There it is.
No, and she was very perfect for the part as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely,
And in her
definitely
personal
iconic.
life, she had many regenerations as well. She went through, the different marriages and the different career things, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I thought that was really cool too. Like, wow, Vivian Lee, she's really that Scorpio energy, right? So she had to be, she had to be or she had to be Scarlett. So one of the other books that I read, and it's been a long time since I read fiction books. I read like all nonfiction now, but if back in the day when I was reading fiction, if somebody had mentioned a birthday, this is the character's birthday, then you better believe I'm watching for all of those traits, right? Like if you're just throwing it out there, this is my character's birthday, and if you have not done the research into what that character is, like astrologically, I'm going to be mad, right? Like, wait a minute, that's not a Leo thing. What are you doing? Do your research, right? I like to see that. If somebody says in their book that this person is a Leo, then they better have Leo characteristics. So I wanted to talk about another like attracting like book and movie, Harry Potter series.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read the books and seen the movies?
I have not personally, no.
Oh, okay. Well, so we'll make that part short then, since you
No,
haven't
it's
watched
okay.
it. But
I'm sure that there are a
they
lot of people that have, and I would be interested in what you're going to say.
yeah.
So,
Well, they give his birthday. J.K. Rowling, and she knew a lot about everything. She knew a lot about mythology. She knew a lot about stuff, energy, and things, which was really cool. That was why there was that backlash when I worked at the library and books were coming out. They tried to get those books banned, because it had so many references to
In the Harry
you
Potter
know,
series.
yeah,
Really?
hmm yeah. They
Okay,
tried to
now I'm
keep those
thinking,
people.
yes, I
Yeah,
have read all of the Harry Potter series. I was thinking something different.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, they give his birthday as July 31st, and I don't remember what year, and I don't know if they actually give them. So Harry Potter's character is a Leo, right? And it does follow true where he's an orphan. His family, his parents die young, so he's looking for love. Leos are all about love and their journey into love, loving themselves, and stepping up to become a leader. Leos are leaders, so they're supposed to be a leader of some kind.
Hmm.
And through the Harry Potter series, you see him. He comes to this school, and he's just a nobody and a nothing, and nobody likes him, and it's kind of bad self-esteem. He doesn't have parents and everything, and he's on this hero's journey, the Leo's journey of becoming a leader. He's going to become that strong leader there at the end, where he's going to fight the dark side,
Hmm.
and collect his little band of friends and learn to love himself and accept love. So I thought that was very cool as well. She followed through with the Leo.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the actor who played him, Daniel Radcliffe, was actually a Leo.
Oh, really?
Yes,
That I did not know.
yes. July 23rd is his birthday. So I'm finding more of these interesting, like correlations. Like, okay, the energies are the same. Like, and I bet if I started looking for more, I could find more. So when I find more, I'll do another show on that. But I think that's very interesting how, and these are the characters that become real. When they write them for real, okay, Scarlett is really a Scorpio, and these are the real things, and this is real. It's not just made up malarkey. We can all relate to that. And the same thing with Harry Potter. This guy is on that Leo journey, and we're all on a Leo journey. We're all trying to find love, love ourselves,
Hmm.
get love from other people, find a reason, be that self worth and all that. So it's very, very, that's why they're so real, and we all resonate with them so much. It's real. Astrology is like real archetypes. It's real. We're all going through these journeys, you know, all at the same time, all through, but in different ways. So that's what's so cool about astrology, and that's really how it works in our lives.
Yeah, it's one thing that I know that people at times don't pay attention to. Is they would think, well, I need to have an astrological reading done for relationship or for career or. But as you're saying, this is something that is grounded. It's part of everybody's everyday life, not just major events.
Yeah, right. And the more, if you really learn and look at yourself and see what's really going on, then you'll find the answers. It's like 95% is knowing what's going on.
Hmm.
What's really the problem. Like awareness is the key. So yeah,
That's
yeah.
very interesting.
Oh, oh. So yeah, can you think of any character off the top of your head of any book or movie that maybe I've seen that you could ask me what you think or what I think it is? We
Not,
could play a
not.
game.
Ooh.
I'll put
See,
you on the
here's
spot
the
again
thing.
today.
When you talk about books that I've read, I'm more of the science fiction fantasy side.
Oh, okay.
Like The Hobbit and way on that side.
Uh-huh.
Harry Potter for
Yeah.
me was a step into things, simply for me because my kids were reading it and I became interested.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm not directly sure that there's too many things that I could name that would be of
Yeah.
relevance. It's like I don't know if you've ever heard of the series "The Sword of Truth."
Uh-huh.
These are characters that are very very odd. Boy, you'd have to give me a minute to think about that.
And I was trying to think of like when I think about Star Wars, the movie Star Wars, everybody's
Mm.
seen that movie, but those guys are more of just like archetypes of a different. They're not as well drawn as Scarlett. You know what I mean? Like where we can see over her lifetime. Like they're almost like avatars, where they're not really. like they embody like one energy. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
That's interesting that you mentioned that instead of more geared towards an astrological sign that they're an avatar. Like
Yeah.
the overall sum total picture of an energetic kind of thing,
Hmm.
because that
Yeah.
relates. Now, Mark Hamill, the actor himself, plays not only, of course, Luke Skywalker,
Hmm.
but he also voices the Joker in the animated series of Batman.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Oh,
that.
oh. If you get a chance, go online, go to YouTube, whatever, and look for any interview of his, because the change in the entire persona for him, the first time that you see it, it is
Oh.
so profound.
Hmm.
It'll actually raise the hackles on the back of your neck. You'll be like,
Yeah.
oh my God, where did
Cool.
this come from? And
Hmm.
he loves doing it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, now he is playing on another TV show about ancient times. Oh Lord, and I just read about this back in the Crusades. He's joined the
Oh.
second season, and he is.
Is he gonna Nightfall? Are you thinking of Nightfall?
That's the one. He'll
Yeah,
be
yeah. I
joining
love
season
that first
two
series.
of
Yeah.
Nightfall, to where he is one of the Knights Templar, and he's an older, and the transformation that you see on him. But
Yeah.
ironically, across all of these characters that he plays, like you said, it is this
Hmm.
avatar kind of
Hmm.
feeling.
Yeah.
It just he is so pervasive, you know.
Hmm.
It's ironic.
I'm gonna have to look up his birth chart and look and see what he has on there going on because you can find, if you just Google in, Mark Hamill birth chart, a bunch of different sites are going to come up and it'll come up in there, and that's how you really learn a lot about astrology. If you don't have your own, friends times, you don't know how to relate. But if you know an actor real well or somebody, you can look at their chart and go, oh yeah, okay, okay. You can kind of see, you can learn from that because if you already know, Mark Hamill kind of,
Right.
and then you look at his chart, you go, oh okay, you know,
That's an
that's,
interesting way to learn
that's
different
neat.
aspects of astrology.
That's neat. Yeah, yeah. We study a lot of famous people when I first started studying, and who the first person they usually bring out is like Richard Nixon. And in fact, I want to do a show just on Richard Nixon. And speaking of Scorpio, Pluto rules Scorpio, and Richard Nixon was just such a Plutonian person as well. Talk
See,
about,
here's a funny thing.
regenerating and having to rebirth yourself. Hmm.
You talk about Richard Nixon to a younger audience. You say Richard Nixon, and that's
Yeah,
something that they learned in the history books.
yeah,
To you and I and other people, Richard Nixon is part of our life.
right.
It's so odd. The same thing with like Ronald Reagan.
Hmm.
You know,
Yep, yep. And so Ronald Reagan had an astrologer.
no, I
He
did
had
not
an
know that.
astrologer. Yeah. His mother was actually the one that really believed in it. And the story goes that she was the one that told him, you had to be sworn in at this time. And he got sworn in at 10 minutes after midnight when he was sworn in as president.
Wow.
What an odd time, right? Because usually it's televised, middle of the afternoon, here's the president taking his, being sworn in. But she had somebody look it up, and that was going to be the best time for him to be sworn in. And boy, did he get lucky because, with that attempt on his life, somebody knew something, and
Yeah,
actually
they
I've got
did.
another show I'm going to be putting together about that. There's like a 20-year span of you can track this through a conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter where they come together every 20 years the president who was in office during that time had an assassination attempt or died in office then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and what's coming up in 2020, that same conjunction again.
Oh, that's scary.
Saturn and Jupiter are going to be together. And, you know, I never thought that, I always knew Trump was going to win for sure. You knew that. You could see that by looking at his chart. You knew he was going to win. I never thought he would finish out his term. Um, I kind of thought he was going to walk away because that was just the energy I was getting.
Hmm.
Um, he might and how he lasted this long without an assassination attempt is beyond me, because people are just very vehement about him. The ones that don't like him are just very
No,
strong.
Trump is one of those topics, regardless of the man. Trump is a topic that polarizes people
Mm-hmm.
instantaneously. I very seldom do I run across something that is so divisive, in dealing
Mm-hmm.
with people. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, something's going to happen, and it might not be exactly to Trump, but when Saturn and Jupiter come together in their conjunction, Saturn is, the authority, you know, government. He rules government as well. Jupiter, um, where Jupiter comes through, there are blessings that come through and healings that come through.
Wow.
So when these two come together, if there's something that stinks in government, it's going to be taken out. That's what Jupiter will do. And in fact, Jupiter now moving through Sagittarius, we just had that big scandal on the college admissions.
Yes. Oh.
And Sagittarius rules the ninth house, which rules higher learning and colleges and universities. And so Jupiter moving through, of course, this has been going on for many years. You know what I mean? Many years. This isn't anything new.
Right.
People have been doing this for a while, but Jupiter now is moving through, and it's bringing out these blessings to people that couldn't get into schools because other people were buying their way in. Really, it's the blessing for the other people. These other people have been taken unfair advantage and, keeping the little people down. So Jupiter's coming through saying, we're going to take these people out. We're going to give everybody a fair shot now.
I'm going to ask your personal opinion on
Yeah.
this. And if it polarizes people, I apologize. So we've got this admission scandal that happened.
Yeah.
People bought their way into getting into school. How is that any different from a family with a ton of money that goes, oh, we're going to build you a library? And the,
Right.
the school goes, oh, let's have your son come to school.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. So why
Right.
why all of a sudden was it quasi okay for rich families to do that, and now all of a sudden it's not?
Mm-hmm.
Where did this
Yeah.
change happen?
I think the thing was where there's like a little bit of lying about it and underhandedness, because it's kind of accepted. Okay, your family's going to give $1 million to fund some building. Yeah, you should get in. Like that's kind of like energetic. Okay, here you go. You get something, but you get in. But these people were making up stories. They were lying, taking pictures. Oh, I'm on the row. I'm on the crew team. In a rower there, and they're not. See, and that's the difference. I think they put out negative energy in there
Yeah, they
where
pay somebody to take their SAT exam, and
Mhm.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was curious just what you thought about that.
yeah. And the interesting thing is that the guy who like was brokering all these deals, because somebody approached them and said, "Hey, we'll get you in for this." It was almost like a guy, like, okay, he was the go-between. He's having his Saturn return this year.
Uh
When
oh.
Saturn comes around and comes back to his place, and if you are not living your life right, you're going to be punished. You're going to be brought back into alignment. So they caught him. He was busted because he's out of alignment. He's lying and doing these things. And he rolled over on all these other people. Okay, well, I'll give
Oh
you all the
wow.
names of people that I did this for. And so now it rolled on to them. But it all started because this guy has his Saturn return, and he has been doing this for a long time. And his soul said, nope, we're not doing this no more. And it's going to come out.
Wow. Now
Mm-hmm.
that's
So
interesting. That right there, folks, is astrology in your everyday life.
that's right. That's right. And there are people that just look at this. It's called mundane astrology, where they look at stuff that's happening in the world and happening in countries and happening in the government. And you can find these people, oh my gosh, when they put out a chart and they tell you what they see, holy smoke, it is exact. When it is your time to get caught, there is a time. There is a time. And if you think, you're gotten away with it for 15, 20 years and you think you're going to keep going, let me tell you, it takes Saturn 28, 29 years to go around. So it's long in the tooth, but you will be caught,
Oh my.
right? And there is divine timing in everything. There are cycles, there are patterns. It is divine timing. I'm telling you, just because you're getting away with it for a year or 10 years or 20, it doesn't matter. It's 29 years coming. And that's what happens, right? So I just laugh at it. You have to laugh and you go, oh my God, people think there's a chaos theory. There's no reason to the world and there's no order and there's nothing. And people are going to get away with all this, doing all this stuff for all their lives and things are never going to change. Oh, they are. They are. But it has to come with the time. The time has to be right. You know,
Would you equate Saturn coming back more with an idea, thought, and understanding of karma?
oh, yeah. 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 Because they call Saturn Lord of Karma.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's
And then he
interesting.
comes back, and and I want to do a whole other show too about the presidents and their Saturn returns, because there's a whole, you can be shown that the ones that are on their Saturn return, they'll either not get reelected, or there's something good, there's a parallel, there's a correlation between them in that, and that I have to do more work on too, that I'm working on, but it's very interesting, right?
Wow.
Because Saturn rules governments and the president is the government head. So, if you don't have a chart that kind of matches the United States chart, and all the countries have their own charts as well, you're not going to be reelected. Doesn't matter what you do. So that's how we knew Trump was going to get in, because his chart matches,
Mm-hmm.
United States. And that's why people are so upset. Oh, they hate Trump. He does this and this and this. Well, he's reflecting the United States. You know what I mean? He's not the only one that thinks these things or does these things.
Right.
You know, and that's the polarization. People that want to blame him for everything. Look closer to home and see what's happening. So yeah, but a lot of cool stuff. I got a lot of cool stuff that I'm working on. Gosh, I have a whole big list. There's the mysterious death cycle of presidents that is astrologically correlated that I'm going to talk about. John F. Kennedy, and of course, like you said, maybe some of the younger listeners might not know John F. Kennedy, but the president who was assassinated. There was a lot of astrologers that knew it was happening. They could see it, and a lot of them told him not to go. He did not listen, right? And again, free will, free will. We
Yeah.
have free will. So I'm going to do a whole show on that. There's that show on Saturn and the president. There's a lot of correlations between Lincoln and Kennedy that show up astrologically and numerologically that will just blow your mind. Yeah, and a lot of
Those
other.
would be interesting to look into and listen to as they go along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of cool things I'm working on. So anyway, just got to get to work on that, get all the facts and figures straight. But yeah, cool. So, any other questions about
No,
Scarlett, Scorpio?
I'm here because this is all extremely interesting to me, without
Mm-hmm.
a doubt.
Yeah, it is very cool, isn't it? It's cool. And astrology, you could notice these things. And on TV, I'm always, the astro geek that I am, always looking to, especially reality shows. Okay, trying to guess their birth sign, watching. Okay, and then you can go, there's famousbirthdays.com, and you can look people up. You can get their birthdays and where they're at. So that's how I use them to get the charts and stuff. So a lot of the really famous people will have charts already on a website. You could just Google them. But then I love to sit back and see their chart and then watch the show and see how that plays out. It's very interesting. Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Nice. So I guess we will wrap this up so I can get to work and start all my research and studying. If anybody in the reader audience or the listener audience has a favorite character, a movie character, a book character that you'd like to email me and ask for my, astrological interpretation, or if you've been noticing any of these things as well, if you're a student of astrology and you've got some viewpoints, I'd love to hear them. So email me. If you'd like to have a chart done to see where your own Scorpio is, where your own Pluto is, email me as well, northnodevenus@gmail.com. And you can see us on Terra Terras every Wednesday.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being my other Gemini today.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure to be here. Truly is.
Yeah, it's always fun. So thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone.